session. So today I scheduled office hours so we can go over the midterm and tell you what will be in the midterm. As you can see it in the class syllabus, I'm going to share the screen now. The midterm is coming up on Saturday, this coming Saturday, February 19th. It consists of 3 chapters, chapters 4, 5, and 6. And it has 40 multiple choice questions. The questions are very similar to the questions, the format of the questions, I should say, are very similar to the questions that you already saw in the first midterm. And I have pretty much selected equal number of multiple choice questions from every chapter. With the exception of, I want to say chapter 4 has about 14 questions in it. The rest is 13 and 13. So total of 40 questions. And about 50 to 55% of questions are conceptual, meaning that it doesn't require computation. And 45 to 50% will be computational problem-solving questions. Now, how would you prepare for the midterm? The best way to prepare for the midterm is step 1, go over the midterm review. If you go into the Canvas, so I'm going to go into Canvas now and click on your class, Financial Accounting 1. And you will see that every week I have a weekly announcement. This is week 7 announcement. And it tells you what we need to do. Then it says midterm number 2 is coming up. So I said, in order to prepare for the midterm, I want you to step number 1, take a look at midterm review. So I'm going to click on this live link, midterm number 2 reminder. First of all, it will tell you a little bit about the midterm. I think I want you to read that to get yourself familiar with the midterm. Then you will see a live link in there that says midterm number 2 review. It says the questions on this test are similar to the questions included in the midterm number 2 review. So I'm going to click on midterm number 2 review, and you will see 2 links. First one is the review itself, and the second one is the answer key to the review. So I'm asking you please not to open up the answer key right off the bat, because then if you just look at the answers, you're not going to be able to assess how prepared you are for the midterm. What I like you to do is first open the midterm. So I'm going to click here, download it, open it, and you will have a total of 64 questions in the review. Now you might say, well, you just told us there are 40 questions on the midterm. Why is it that you have 64 questions as part of your review? So I'm trying to include different scenarios, different questions, and I'm thinking the more questions you solve, the better prepared you will be for the midterm. And that is why I have more than 40 questions. All right, so you will answer the questions. I'm going to make the screen a little bit larger. There you go. It says midterm number 2 review, Financial Accounting 1. And you answer the questions. Once you answer the questions, then go back to the same link where you can download the answer key. So I'm downloading the answer key. There you have it. The answers are all written in red. So you can clearly see these are the answers to the questions. Okay, what is a worksheet? Worksheet is working paper often used by accountants to summarize adjusting entries. So now on the midterm, this question, the question is the same, but the answers will be in multiple choice format. So you will have one answer that says a worksheet is what stakeholders, external stakeholders would like to review, which is totally wrong. Outside stakeholders such as bankers, such as creditors, vendors, they do not want to look at the worksheet. They want to look at financial statements, not the worksheet. So that's wrong. Then the second answer would be a worksheet is working paper often used by accountants to summarize adjusting entries. So that would be the correct answer. Okay, so you will have 3 wrong answers and then 1 correct answer, which would be similar to the content you see here. All right, so you're preparing for the midterm. The first thing I want you to do is to take a look at midterm review. I showed you where to go to get midterm review. Then I'd like you to look at the 10 questions that I have at the end of every chapter in my lecture notes. So where do you find the lecture notes? Does anyone know where to find the lecture notes? Where do you go on Canvas to find my lecture notes in Microsoft Word? Where do you go to find that? Unmute yourself and tell me. Let me see how many students know where to go to find that.
Modules.
You go to modules. Excellent job. All right, so we're going to go to modules now. And by the way, I'm going to put my AirPod on so I can, or actually maybe I'll just put the Bluetooth, that's faster. Okay, so I am going to go to modules. Scroll down. By the way, the midterm number 2 review and reminder are also on modules. I especially wanted you to go through week 7 because often students do not read my weekly announcement, and I want you guys to read it because it has a lot of good information and tangibles for that week. So that would kind of force you to go that route, but also you that route will take you to the modules where you can find midterm number 2 reminder and midterm number 2 review. Okay, so we're talking about a lecture in Microsoft Word, and I asked you to please go to chapter 4 and download it. So there you have chapter 4. This is obviously just a summary, so it's not pages and pages that you see in actual in your actual textbook, just a summary of the chapter. I said step 1 to prepare for the midterm, take a look at my midterm review, solve every problem, then check your answers to make sure you're on the right track. Step 2, go to my midterm review and take a look at the 10 questions I have at the end of that review. See, it's chapter 4, 10 questions. And then I also have the answers. Once you answer the questions, then I have, or in this example, I only have, no, I do have 10. Good, good, good. Then you will see the answers. The answer key is there. Okay. And then if you didn't answer a question correctly, go over my summary of the chapters. And that will quickly take you to summarizes the chapter and give you a good, solid understanding of the chapter. All right. So there are 4 ways to prepare for the midterm. Midterm number 1, review. The quiz at the end of my lecture notes posted on modules. The third one is your DSM, Dynamic Study Module. Dynamic Study Module. Now, where do you find that? That's obviously on Pearson. So, if you go to Pearson, for you, you go to Pearson through Open My Lab Mastering. I can also go to Pearson directly. And if you take a look at okay, so not being a student, I think I have different interface. I don't think it would allow me to go through this. Let's see if I can do it. I'm not sure. It might give me a preview. Let's see. So we're looking at chapter 4, Dynamic Study Module. And preview, there we go. Okay. And start. It's loading. All right, so you will see the questions on Dynamic Study Module. You're already familiar with it. If you have answered to Dynamic Study Modules that are considered to be extra credit, that has 2 extra credit points for each chapter. So step three, go over Dynamic Study Modules of chapters 4, 5, and 6. Then if you still have time, and some of you between now and Saturday may not have time, but if you do have time, what I'd like you to do is, let's close this. What I'd like you to do is to go through flashcards. Now, where do you find flashcards? If you go into modules, I have a posting on the announcement. On the announcement, you will see a link that says flashcards. There you go. So this is on the announcements, everyone. So you go to flashcards, and then it will tell you step by step how to access flashcards, and it will tell you to go through the multimedia library and chapter resources. So I'm going to just go there, go to multimedia library. Once you go to multimedia library, you have all kinds of learning tools. The one that I want you to look at is flashcards. So click on that box to bring the flashcards up to load the flashcards. I'm going to say find now. Now, once you click on find now, it seems as if nothing has happened. Scroll down, everyone. Scroll down until you see the flashcards for chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. That's one way of doing it. The other way would be if I had clicked on chapter 4 and find now, it would have given me two sets of flashcards. One, which is interactive flashcards, which includes all the flashcards for the 26 chapters. And that's not what you want. That's irrelevant right now. But just go to the flashcards for chapter 4. It says chapter 4 flashcards. And open it up. Now, usually the screen I get is not this. Let's try it one more time. Oh, there, that's the right one. It didn't load correctly. And now you can just say study now and go through the flashcards. And that is, so let's say that I want to find out about classified balance sheet and study now. It says classified balance sheet is, then I click on it. A balance sheet that places each asset and each liability into a specific category. And that is correct. So at the bottom, I'm going to either select correct or incorrect or just show me. So I'm going to just say correct. And it says, yeah, I got 100%. Yay. So that's a very good interactive way of going through each chapter. So we talked about 4 different tools that would prepare you for the midterm. First one, midterm number 2 review. Second one, the 10 questions on modules under lecture for Word, Microsoft Word. Third one is DSM, Dynamic Study Module for each chapter. And the last one, if you have time, would be the flashcards. Okay. I also, in my review, my recommendation, I say the demo problems are also good. Check your figures, they're good. But I think between now and Saturday, realistically, you may not have that much time to do everything. So just to start from that order that I gave you and go down and see how much time you have to go over those 4 learning tools. Now, I'm going to pause and see if you have any questions now. Questions, everyone?
Is it possible to go over maybe some of the questions together on the midterm review?
To look at the actual questions on the midterm, Helen?
Yes, just to walk through them together.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's very, very good question. A very good request. So let's do that. All right, so I am going to go into, and also I want to remind you to not use anything but Chrome as the browser when you take your midterm. Sometimes if you use Firefox or Safari or other browsers, some of the tables that I have in the midterm, they do not load. They do not load properly. So I would suggest using Chrome. And of course, I mentioned that in the midterm number 2 review, but sometimes students don't read that. So I thought since you are here, and I thank you for being here and attending office hours, I thought I should mention that. Now, let's go back to Canvas. And your midterm is posted on the assignments. So I'm going to go to midterm number 2. And I will do a preview for you. So for example, question number 1, it says, Which of the following accounts has a balance equal to net income immediately before it's closed? It has a balance that equals to net income. Now, remember, everyone, that we close income summary to owner's capital, right? And if there is a credit, if there's a credit balance, that means revenue exceeds expenses. When you make more money, we call it revenue, then you spent money, we call that expenses. We have income. Income is also called profit. Income is also called earnings. So the answer is, you have 4 choices. The answer is income summary. Now, you might say, well, what about net income? There is no account in the general ledger by the name of net income. Net income is a product. Net income is the difference between revenue and expenses. So net income is not an account. Income summary is an account. Owner's drawing is an account. Owner's capital is an account, but not net income. So if you know your accounts, and take a look at chart of accounts. When you look at chart of accounts, you don't see an account by the name of net income. So you know for sure that answer should be eliminated. Okay. Remember, I said that I have about 50 to 55% conceptual questions. This is an example of a conceptual question where you do not have to do any problem solving. All right, so let's take a look at question number 2. The entries that transfer the revenue, expenses, and withdraw balances to the owner's capital account to prepare the company's book for the next period are called. Now, the entry that we're closing all these accounts, do we call them transfer revenue and expenses and withdrawals? Now, remember, part of the closing entries in chapter 4, we said we have to take 4 steps. You first close your revenue account, then you close your expense accounts, then you close income summary itself, and then you close owner's drawing. So obviously the answer here is closing entries. Okay. So again, a conceptual question. Question number 3, which of the following accounts will be closed by debiting the income summary account? When you debit income summary, notice debit is on the left side, and all of our expenses as well as owner's drawing carry a normal debit balance. Therefore, in order to close them, we have to credit those accounts, because closing means making the balance of an account 0, right? Therefore, the income summary is debited for our expenses and for the owner's drawings account, and the each individual expense account is credited. So the answer is we debit depreciation expense. The rest of them, accounts payable should never be closed. Accumulated depreciation should never be closed, because those are permanent accounts. They are not temporary accounts. We only close temporary accounts. And temporary accounts are all the accounts that appear in the income statement, and one account that appears on the balance sheet. Do you remember which account appears in the balance sheet that you close? Who wants to give me the answer? There's one account that appears in the balance sheet and you close it. Anyone? That's owner's drawing. Owner's drawing appears on the balance sheet and you close it. Okay. All right, so that's a conceptual question. Now let's take a look at a problem solving question. All right, so this is an example of problem solving question. A company purchased inventory of 74,000 from a vendor, FOB shipping point. So a company is purchasing inventory, so you immediately put the buyer's hat on. So this question is about buying. FOB shipping point. When it's FOB shipping point, that means if you look at the terms, the credit terms and the agreements for when we purchase, when it's FOB shipping point, that means the buyer pays for transportation charges. So if you buy something from Amazon and Amazon says you have to pay for shipping charges, that's called FOB shipping point. FOB shipping point. Okay, so a company purchased $74,000 from a vendor, FOB shipping point, 3/10 N/30. That means that if the company pays within 10 days from the date of the invoice, they get 3% discount. Otherwise, the entire amount is due in 30 days. Otherwise, the entire amount is due in 30 days. It says the company paid shipping of $1,500 cash for freight in. The company paid the vendor 9 days after the sales. If there was no beginning inventory and the cost of inventory would be, okay, so there was no purchase returns. So we have $74,000. If there was a purchase return, I would have subtracted return from 74. This example, there's none. So I go 74,000. Then I get 3% discount because I paid, or the purchaser, the buyer paid within the discount period. So if I pay 3%, that means 97% of it is my cost. So you go 97% of 74,000, that's going to be your cost. And let me grab a calculator. So 45,000 times 97%, that means your cost, the buyer cost is 43,650 plus. Since this was FOB shipping point, the buyer had to pay for shipping. So we're going to add that to the 43,650. And I'm going to add now 1,500. So the cost is 45,150. So you will have why do I not see assumed petrol inventory? If there was no, the cost of inventory would be. Oh, I think I didn't do my calculation correctly. 74,000. Oh, I put 47,000. Sorry, times 0.97 is 7178. Now it's correct. My calculation wasn't correct. Plus 1,500. 8678. I keep making calculation mistake. Let's do it one more time. 74,000 times 0.97 is 71,780. 71,780 plus 1,500. I want someone 73,280. Let's see if I have so. There you go. So blame it on my calculator. So 73,280 is the answer. Okay, somehow, first time I transposed the number. I put 47,000 instead of 74,000. All right, so that's an example of problem solving question. And that takes care of the midterm review. At this point, I'm going to wait and see. Let's just go back, stop sharing, and see if you have any other questions. Let's see, is there anything in the chat room? No. All right, I'm ready for your questions.
In the problem we just did, can you remind me what n/30 means? Because in the terms we had 3/10, which means if you pay within 30 days, you get that 3% discount. But can you remind me what N/30 means?
Right. Okay, very good question. So let's go back to that problem. So when it says, where was the problem? Oh, there it is. Okay. So when it says 3/10, that means 3% discount if paid within 10 days from the invoice date. The date that the invoice is prepared, because when you prepare the invoice, there's a date on the invoice. Therefore, that's an objective way of counting the days from that point on. It's not from the day you place the order, the buyer placed the order. No, it's not from the day that the product was shipped or the product was received. No, it's from the invoice date, the date that the invoice was prepared. So from that date, we have 10 days to pay to take care of, take advantage of 3% discount. Otherwise, N means the entire amount. If the buyer does not pay in 10 days from the date of invoice, the entire $74,000 should be paid to the seller within 30 days from the date of invoice. So N stands for the entire amount of purchase, and 30 stands for the number of days within the payment period. Is that what you're asking, Helen?
Yep, that's what I was asking. Thank you. That helps because the problems on the homework were the way you applied it, I think I figured out that it was able to figure it out that what the percentage was for the discount, but I never understood what it was asking with N/30 or N/15 or whatever the time frame was. That makes sense now.
Perfect. Now, if this question was saying how much discount does the buyer get? No, remember, I just went directly to 97% of the purchase price. But if I wanted to determine the amount of discount, the discount is 3%, then I would have done 0.03 times the purchase price. And the purchase price was 74,000. So I would have multiplied 74,000 by 3% to arrive at the amount of discount. This question is not asking for the discount, but if it did, that's how I would have arrived at the discount. Anything else? All right, so if there is no other question, anyone has questions on the annual report, on Excel assignments, anything, I'm happy to help you.
Can you remind me, because I know you've mentioned we have tutors or people available to help for this class. If we're reviewing tomorrow, I found the link for NetTutors, but do we have dedicated tutors?
You'll have dedicated tutors, yeah. Tomorrow is Friday. Mari Chui will be in the tutoring center from 1 to 4 p.m. Now, how would you can go directly to Mari Chui on campus, or you can go through the link I have created. So if you go back to announcements, then you will find a link that says free accounting tutors. There you have it. Oh, I better start sharing. I forgot to share it. Okay, so once more, you go into the announcements. So once you are in the announcements, then you scroll down until you find free accounting tutors. And then click on STEM Center. That's where tutors are. And then notice it says online accounting tutors for accounting and econ 12 to 4. And then if you follow this, it says go to drop-in tutoring. You put your student ID, your birth date, because we want to make sure we are providing tutoring to our students from our college and not other colleges, and that's why it's asking for your student ID and your birthday. You sign in, and boom, you are in the tutoring center. And it's my understanding that you do this once, and then the computer would recognize that. You don't have to do it every time. That's what I was told, but I'm not 100% sure. Am I answering your question, Helen?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to know where to go if we had
course.
questions tomorrow for reviewing.
Lovely, lovely. Anything, thank you for asking questions. That just shows your interest in the subject area and being an active participant. So I thank you for that. Any other questions? All right, then on that note, it's about 5:41. I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone. I will continue staying just in case anyone wants to drop in the last minute. But then you don't have to stay, but I will definitely stop recording it. By the way,